Okay, guys, I'm back online. Now, let's give a score to the quality of the video and audio on the scale from 1 to 10. 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. So there is some noise, white noise. We're gonna adjust the volume here. 1, 2, 3. There is still some noise, like croaking sound. Now we're trying to, yeah, you don't hear it because my microphone is a professional one. But on the Russian end of the conference, the sound is very bad, like from 1 to 5 tops, not 10 at all. Now we'll try to fiddle with the, I don't know, headsets and the microphone. We'll see whether it helps. Yeah, still trying to set up the sound here. It's about the hardware. It has nothing to do with the being professional or not. We'll try to bring down the level, the sensitivity level of the microphone at Andrey's end, and it should be fine. Well, usually the sound is okay, but there's some disturbance with the sound. So, okay, let's try and start. Maybe I can tell you a joke from the very start. But I guess any sales manager should know similar jokes. So imagine two sales managers who are standing in a store, and a lady, expensively dressed, enters that store in a fur coat, and she says, "Hello," and spreads her arms like this. And there is still some problem with the sound. There is some croaking noise and white noise. Well, trying to achieve the best attainable volume, sound, but there is still a problem. Oh, we haven't finished the joke, so hopefully we'll hear the end of it. Oh, now it's better. Okay, so I think the sound on the Russian end is finally okay, and we'll start our conference. So let's get back to the joke. So this lady, expensively dressed lady, enters the store, and the sales manager asks her, "Can I help you?" And she says that, "Well, I need some beautiful underwear for a nice night with my husband." And they spent like an hour picking the right nightwear, underwear, and something else. And she says, "I want a handbag as well." And it took them another half an hour or an hour to pick the handbag.
While I'm telling this funny story, this joke in English, please fix the translation in the Italian-speaking chat and the German-speaking chat as well. There is no translation because I see this in the chat. And I will continue with my story. It's not the beginning of the training. I'm simply increasing your spirit. Well, and she was selecting 1 hour and a half the handbag. Finally, it has been selected. Afterwards, I also need a fancy dress, another 1 hour and a half for the fancy dress. Oh, I need the shoes to match my fancy dress, and another half an hour, 1 hour and a half to find and select the shoes. And then she wanted something else, some tights. And it's almost midnight, and the shop is open until the last client is served. So she comes to the cashier, and they estimated the check. And the check is $50,180 US. She opens her handbag and says, "I have no money." And these sales managers are irritated and exhausted. "We spent the whole day on you. How dare you? You holy cow, you actually made us crazy." And then she says, "And I have a credit card, Visa, Master card." And again, "Oh, we are pleased to see you again. Hello." What about the translation in the German-speaking chat, Italian-speaking chat? Can you please translate both, check both the translations? And again, once again, hello. We have some technical hiccups. I see the Italian chat on, and did we fix the problem in the German-speaking chat? Well, dear friends, so do we have the German translation on? No. There is no German translation. Guys, please fix it. I think they will do it. We will have the recording. The recording will be added because today's webinar is 4 hours, and after 1 hour and a half, there will be 10-20 minutes break. So on the 21st of December, there was a kick-off webinar called investing into your financial success. No, actually the title was different. I will give you the exact name of that webinar. And did you attend that webinar? Do you remember the exact title of that webinar? No, not 8 Rules of Wealth. Each webinar has its title. On the 21st of December, investing is your way to financial success. This is a kick-off webinar, and those who will consult on investments, please remember that actually from the webinar of the 21st of December, you shall start your experience, no matter which experience you have, either wide or not. And if you want to make fair and correct investment decisions, you shall start your path from that webinar on the 21st of December. Your way to the financial success. Perfect. But our today's webinar will include 4 sessions altogether. Each of them will be from 2 to 4 hours each, and today's webinar title is The First Steps to Private Investing. There will be 4 sessions. Please edit the title to these slides. Our today's session is called Basics or Fundamental of Investment Development. Fundamentals or Basics of Investment Development. The first session. In the first steps to private investing, we will study the basics of investing, 8 rules of a private investor. We'll discuss them very fast. Basics of the capitalization, financial plan, as the continuation of the topic discussed on the 21st of December. Now we will discuss all the details of this segment. Yes, there was the recording of that webinar, available maximum 1 week, then it was closed down, similarly to the first steps to private investing. So please remember that it will be available 2 weeks only in recording, and afterwards it will be closed, and only after all the 4 sessions are done, together with the webinar as a pathway to your financial success, it will be a fee-based product, the recording, which will be called The First Steps to Private Investing, and the price for this product will be $300 US, 300 units. So now you receive publicly this knowledge, but afterwards the people will pay for this knowledge. So let's start, dear friends. Before we start, I would like you to answer. I will post my picture. So those of you, if you are the first comer or the second comer of some trainings delivered by the Academy of Private Investor, or you are a regular comer. So today is the second webinar of this course. So therefore, next time, please write down the third or the second or the third time. So I launched this survey, this polling, and briefly I will tell you, I have experience in investing since 1997, quite professional experience so far, starting from 1993. Actually, I was a Navy guy, earned some money and started doing business, and I will post it on the screen this way. Please don't do it. I will do it myself. A deal? Because I am moderating this webinar. I manage the chat today, and if I read it, then I want it. So I have the conscious experience of 23 years of investing and professional investing. But since 1993, I invested in different projects. And when I heard the word to invest, investment companies, investment projects, the chances to get training in investment, and I everywhere participated. And by 1997, there were different losses because of the pyramids of some crook companies, some fake companies, some companies crashed because of the poor management. So please let it be posted on the screen as I put it. And since 1993, by 1997, I had bad experience, but after 1997, I started to get professional experience and I joined one of the companies, and this professional experience was gained from one of the company, insurance company, but I was welcomed as a client and was attracted to run my business. I had some money and a person engaged me, and actually he made me curious to sign an insurance for 20 years, insurance coverage for 20 years. But in 1997, I entered the product business based on MLM principles. And then when I attracted my agent, who is moving this polling? Nikolai, are you doing this or someone else does this? Or does it move on its own? And or do we have some spirit doing something instead of us? Quite an interesting survey. I will close it down. I stop it. Well, in terms of the investment experience or track record, it started in 1997, but from the age of 15, I did investing. And 15 years at that time, it was 1983 actually. At that time, we got calculators. Before that, calculators were not available. So we used, by the way, some wooden device to make these estimates and calculation. Can you use it? Do you know how to do it? And my kid, I remember in the kindergarten, we actually were trained to use abacus to do our calculations. Do you remember these lines? And now my kid, he is 4 years of age, 4 years and a half, and he is trained to calculate using this abacus. And the reason I'm saying this, when in 1983 the calculators emerged, and then with one of my relatives using this calculator, there was an interesting game, 10 rubles in an envelope. When you received a letter from your friends, and there you had 10 last names who you need to resend these 10 rubles. And at that time, my parents actually earned 350 rubles, but there were people who earned even more. This game was developed in Czech Republic and etc. But the reason I'm saying this is that when with my friend, with my relatives, we calculated that when we become the first in this letter, you need to send this 10 rubles and you are cited as the 10th, and then send these letters to your friend, and they must do the same thing. When we calculate it with the use of the calculator, these are like circles in the multi-level marketing. So in the third circle, 1000 and etc. So you all know this stuff. And when we made this calculation, then I said, Yura, to my relative, when we become the first, we will have more than 1 million rubles. And after estimating this amount, I saw very interesting figures. And by the way, for my birthday, I was given some money because there was a deficit for some presents, gifts. People tend to present you with some money. And when I got some money as a gift, my dad bought the governmental bonds, and each governmental bond every 3 months, it was as a lottery, and I won either the money in this lottery or the bond of 25 rubles won a bond of 50 ruble. And 1 year after I saw that I saved one amount of money, but afterwards I improved my savings threefold. And when I used the calculator and calculated, should I have the same bonds, then by the age of 30, I will be an official legal ruble millionaire in the Soviet Union. And actually, I was very excited at that time. And this principle of calculation of capitalization at that time, I didn't know that it is called capitalization, but then I saw these figures, and bonds were the instrument for me to become a millionaire at the age of 30. And then the Soviet Union crashed, I started doing business, and I liked the word investing. I invested in different projects, and in 1997, I joined an insurance company, Surfinvest, and one of the tasks was to create our capitalization for the next 20 years with the annual capitalization growth rate from 4 to 8%. And when I did this task, I got excited even more. It's great that 85% of the profit distributed among all the investors of the company. Actually, I got excited, but in 1997, I was also invited to the MLM company. I was shown the circles, 5, 10 by 10, and the reason why I joined the company, I was said that you will be trained not to make a lot of money, but you will be trained how to save and multiply. Then I visited a seminar in Cyprus about the creation of my business portfolio, investment portfolio. And at that time, during 3 days, I realized what the science of investing is about and that I will do this in my life. Dear friends, I want to tell you, throughout these 30 years from 1994, almost 26 years of my investment history, I see that throughout these 26 years, almost nothing changed in cheating people. Only in the 1990s, they were investment companies which enabled us to enter the stock market of the US, Europe, or UK. Actually, it was quite difficult to enter the stock market in the UK. Only if you had about 100,000 pounds sterling. In the US, it was much easier because thousands were needed. But then in the mid-90s, actually, there were some real estate related companies such as invest into real estate in the US. They were scam companies, and in early 2000s, the stock market emerged, and you could on your own trade and buy on stock platforms, on stock exchanges. And after it was followed up by forex markets from 2003 to 2013, and a lot of companies were operational on the market who were crooks. So binary options, then the blockchain came and Bitcoin grew a lot. There were a lot of investment companies or experts in crypto markets. When I visited those companies and the webinars and saw what they proposed, actually they proposed what the companies in the 1990s offered, and late 1990s, and then early 2000 or mid 2000, 2005, 2008, associated with forex. So those guys who used to be in forex, they moved to the cryptocurrency market. And the reason I set up the Academy of Private Investor, and the first steps is actually the basic webinar. Please take note of this. If you are equipped with the knowledge in private investing, you will never get bankrupt. You may lose some money because everywhere you will lose something, but there will be those instruments. You will gain super profits, or you will lose 1-2% of your total capital, but other instruments will gain the super growth, and actually eventually you will lose nothing. Therefore, dear friends, I would like to instruct you that after learning this knowledge of private investors and then the professional knowledge of the academy, which prepares all these courses, you will be equipped with the best weapon ever, which you will never be deprived in life. And when I faced the second bankruptcy level in 2008, only because of my knowledge in investing, I managed to gain my profits, even higher profits compared to those I had before I got bankrupt. And when you make more, you can save more, you can invest more. So let's start, and I will remind you what we studied last time. Our webinar was called Your Path to Your Financial Success. We talked about the harmonized model of development of a personality. We talked about the difference between investments and investing, how they are different. Please write it down. If you remember this difference, I will double check who participated, who visited the previous webinar. What is the difference between investments and investing? Please write this down. Investments are money, whereas investing is a process. Only Smirnova Yelena knows the answer to my question. Investments are long-term instruments, whereas investing is a process of multiplying your money. This is the response of Raisa. Where can I see the first webinar? On YouTube, I believe it is still available.
So someone says that investing is the process of investing, while investments is an asset or a project where we invest money. And investing is the understanding of how money can be multiplied. Actually, that is the correct answer. So, look, it's like the 5 fingers of on your hand, like the small finger, the ring finger, the middle finger, the point finger, and the thumb. So you remember the names, right? So it's not the commandments. It's my metaphor. Remember those 5 fingers on my hand. So investing is the understanding of how our money can grow from year to year and multiply, and investments are money invested somewhere in order to have return on that investment. So the first finger is health, the second finger is attitude, the third is your internal emotions, the fourth finger is finance, and the thumb is your calling or your destiny. So those are the 5 fingers. Svetlana Kapustina from Minsk told us what those fingers stand for. And now let's move on to the 8 rules of a private investor. Who knows the 8 rules of a private investor? Put it down in the chat. Okay, now let's recall the 8 rules of a private investor. Rule number 1, and you say what the rule is all about. Then rule number 2, and you describe rule number 2, etc. Yes, Raisa also gave the correct answer regarding what those 5 fingers stand for. Because if we want to have a harmonic or harmonious development of a personality, you need to have all 5 components, not only one component like one finger. You cannot be only financially literate without being healthy, or like my middle finger, you can be healthy, but without other components, you won't be complete. So the 8 rules of a private investor. So to know what financial independence and financial freedom are, to know the difference. Yes, exactly. Unfortunately, Andrey cannot now check other languages like the English and the Spanish, German, and Italian rooms, but I can, and I can tell you that yes, you are right. Okay, then the second rule is to remember about the 5 commandments of a private investor, correct? Rule 3, someone says that rule 3 is to know the difference between investments and investing. Rule 3 actually is... okay, let's go to square one. Yeah, rule 1, Valentina said. And I see that women in general are better students than men, because judging by the answers our students give in the chat, women are better at finances. But although the common perception is that men are better with money, but I guess it's a misconception, and men are better at greed rather than finance management. You know, when I see all those financial companies headed by males, which say we're gonna launch the IPO tomorrow and you're gonna be a millionaire the day after. Okay, rule 3 is the financial plan, correct? Rule 4 is about diversification. Rule 5, observe investment discipline. Yes, in the Russian chat, Karina Murniak gave the perfect answer regarding the 8 rules of a private investor. Now we know what's the 8th wonder of the world. And who knows, by the way, what's the 8th wonder of the world in investing? I wonder if I Google up the 8th wonder of the world, what be the reply. Let me check. I'm doing it right now. Or interest on interest, right? Okay, let's see what the Wikipedia says. Well, it has nothing, what I Googled up has nothing to do with investing. There is something in Turkey they call the 8th wonder of the world, but in the world of finance, we have our 8th wonder of the world. Yes, exactly. The compound interest, or the wonder of the compound interest. Who gave the Sergei Sidorov, finally, a man. Oh, guys, I see you in the English chat, but unfortunately, I cannot pass it on in a timely manner to the Russian chat, so bear with me. Okay, now let's move on regarding the fundamentals of investing. We already mentioned the harmonic development of a personality, and we need to understand what financial independence is and how does it differ from financial freedom. So let's take a look. We have a formula of financial independence, which is income divided by expense, while the financial freedom is your income divided by the expense and equals 30 years. So you can be financially free for a longer period. So financial freedom means that the money that you receive, the yield, the return on your investments in such is so high that you should not bother with working anymore. So let's say that your income, your salary is $1,000, euros, whatever, multiplied by 12 months, it's 12,000, multiplied by 10 years, it's 120,000. So if you have $120,000 or euros, you are financially independent, let's say. Well, the common perception of financial independence is somewhat different, is the amount of money that you feel is enough for you. Let's see if your salary is enough for you. Put it down in the chat, whether the money that you make today is enough to cover your needs today. Let's see what will be the answer, or the money you accumulated right now, whether for how long that money is going to be enough for you. Like someone in the Russian chat says that they have already enough money for the next 30 years. Well, usually if you have one source of income of $1,000, then it means that you can be financially independent for 1 month. So if that money covers only 15 days of your needs, then you are financially independent for 15 days only. So guys, in order to become financially independent, you need 4 main elements: to understand financial flows, to know what financial flows are, to understand the assets and liabilities, to follow the 8 rules of a private investor that we covered already. Well, not all of us, but most of you. And then open your own business or expand your business. Only then you are on the path towards financial independence. Now let's take a look at financial flows. Robert Kiyosaki describes them very well. I enjoyed his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It was in 90s, if I'm not mistaken. It says book, and there was another book. Yeah, it was. That's how it was called, Rich Daddy or Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's where he describes the financial flows. And I realized one important thing. When I was young, when I was 22, I earned more than $100,000. Well, I earned more, but what I brought home was $120,000. So, adjusting for inflation, it's like 2 million today. Okay, if we compare to what $120,000 meant back then and today. So imagine that you're 22, 24 years old, you have almost $2 million. It really drives you crazy. And I thought that if I earn a lot of money, I'm a rich person. And 1 year later, exactly 1 year later, I had only $10,000 to my name. Can you imagine? Because I didn't study any financial literacy. So what I did is I bought gasoline, and I sold that gasoline at the gas filling station. I had 2 pumps, and I could go to my warehouse where I filled in my tanks, and then I sold that gasoline close to the gas filling stations because those stations didn't have any gasoline in store. So I had huge lines waiting. Then half a year later, local bandits actually raided my place and took over. So I couldn't actually conduct my business anymore, but it was all peaceful, more or less. So there was no violence involved, and I moved to another location. So why I'm telling you this, I earned a lot of money. It's like money falling from the skies to your feet, but when you brought them at home, actually you don't have anything. You spend it all on the way. So back then, I earned like tens of thousands of dollars per month, but I never saved anything. I didn't even understand that I should save something. So I spent what I earned. That's it. I broke even. That means, this situation means that if a person lives in a financial flow of the poor class. Do you know such people who spend as much as they earn? Because a lot of internet entrepreneurs do the same thing, behave in the same manner. A lot of blockchain experts do it. I have a person who became a young guy who became a millionaire literally in 1 year because of the blockchain. He wanted to buy himself a house, etc., but he spent it all. And I asked him, did you invest your money? Did you save your money? And he said, though, I spent it all. I never studied financial literacy. I didn't even thought it was needed, because I thought the more you and the quicker you earn, the faster you become rich. But that's not it. I knew friends who earned tens of thousands of dollars, while I have 4 friends who earned $1 million, 4 of them per year. It was 1995, and this guy bought a car. I think it was Audi for $80, something like that. It was like, but then, or it was $80,000. But what happened is that he drove straight into the garage wall. He wasn't hurt, but the car was completely smashed. So you can see like what can happen to your money, to your assets. So just make a simple question to your friends. How much do you earn? And they will say, well, I earn $10,000. And you say, good job. And then if you ask him, how much do you spend? And he says, well, sometimes I spend it all. And sometimes I even take a loan, borrow money. So that those people are in the financial flow of the poor class. If they do not accumulate, if they do not save money, they are in the financial flow of the poor class. There is another thing called middle class, and this like the entire. This is the purpose of in all countries of the entire world. like to make loans as cheap as possible, etc. I remember credits used to be very cheap, like close after the dissolution of the USSR. People were saying in the US, in Great Britain, young families can take a loan at the very young age. They can buy themselves a house, they can buy themselves a car, and everyone in the former Soviet Union dreamt about it. But then when we got that opportunity to take those loans, what happened? And here we need to understand that the middle class lives in the following way. They receive an income. It doesn't matter what they do. Usually that's one source of income only. And by the way, put it down in the chat. How many sources of income do you have? All of you guys who are attending that webinar, in the chat. Write it down. How many sources of income do you have? Someone says 5, someone says 2, someone 1, someone 3. So if a person has only one source of income, which is salary, this is very dangerous to be living in such a situation. But what the bank sector did in the world, the bank sector told you, why should you save? Why should you put money aside? Take a loan from us. You're going to buy yourself a house. It's going to be your asset. People think that buying an apartment or assets or a house is an asset. And the reason why they say it, because the price of your apartment or real estate will always go up. But let's remember the crisis, the mortgage crisis of 2007 that which started in 2006. What happened? The income stopped because people lost their jobs, and there were hundreds of families where both husband and the wife lost their jobs. And for example, the husband could take a mortgage, might have taken a mortgage for their house, and the wife took a loan to buy a car, and maybe they went on vacation on a loan too. And then their employment stopped. They were fired from their jobs. And that's where the mousetrap snapped, and they were caught in that mousetrap, as Robert Kiyosaki says it. Well, in that slide, actually, assets should not be there. Assets should be removed from that slide. We need to understand what assets and liabilities are. So, guys, in the chat, put down your understanding of assets and liabilities, okay? How do you understand? People say that assets yield money and liabilities eat your money up. Well, yes, assets are something that yields an income. What about your work, your job? Is it your asset? Is it your liability? What is it? Well, because, well, work yields money, right? Brings you money. So someone says that work, employment is an asset. Well, it's something, assets is something that brings food to your table. Well, and following that logic, you mean that work is your assets. Well, let's imagine a balloon, a big balloon, okay? A rubber balloon. When we pump that balloon manually, we pump it, and imagine that inside that balloon, there are small holes. There is a small hole, which is your utility bills. Another hole is your pocket money for your children. Another hole is your food, etc. And the more you pump it, the more air you lose. And then you pump it again. And sooner or later, what happens? A person gets tired and says, I'm fed up with pumping that balloon. So for those of you who said that work was your asset, imagine that pumping the balloon is your job when you do it yourself. When you're working somewhere, when you're employed and you're receiving a salary, it's not your asset. It's your active employment, but not an asset. Asset is something that yields you an income without your participation or with minimum participation from your side. So imagine that you're fed up with pumping the balloon and you decided to set up an electric pump and plug it in. And now your balloon is being pumped by the electric pump. There are holes, there are still holes, but you provide more air than air lost through those holes. And in that case, this is your asset because it requires minimum participation on your side. You simply plug it in and more or less you provide some maintenance, etc. If the power supply is cut down, you turn on the power generator. So your work is your active earning of money, but it's not an asset which can yield you an income. Another question that I would like to ask you, who of you has an apartment taken on a loan or a mortgage, okay? Is it an asset or is it a liability? Well, most guys in the Russian chat say that it's a liability. Why do you think it's a liability? Because it does not yield an income and takes your money away. Well, yeah. What about an apartment which has been paid off? So you do not pay your mortgage anymore. It's your apartment. Is it an asset or is it a liability? Arman says that it's a liability. Let me put it in a different way. You don't owe any money to anyone for that apartment. Is it an asset or a liability? But you live in it. It's a liability. And what about your car that you use for your business? Maybe you're a cab driver or you're a truck driver and you own your truck or your car. Is it an asset or a liability? Your truck, which you use for your business, it's a liability or an asset? Well, those of you who said it was an asset, you're right, it's an asset. So let's break it down. Let's put it down that assets are something that yield your income without your participation or with minimum participation. Liabilities is something that costs you money. If you have a car which you use for business, then in a traditional accounting, it's an asset. It's a main asset, yeah? Main assets are usually assets, okay? But that's all crap, okay? Something that costs you money, in our understanding, is a liability. If you rent your truck and then you receive a monthly income, then it's gonna be your asset. How your apartment can become a asset. So I remember I was conducting a webinar and one of the students wrote me that, Andrey, I listened to your lecture, but what about retired people, how they can make a living? I have a two-room apartment and I rented my apartment to 2 students. And can you imagine the apartment that I have, and I pay very big bills, utility bills for that apartment. In St. Petersburg, in Moscow, in big cities, the utility bills are quite heavy. It's like $100, $150, and $200. In Europe, in the United States, the utility bills for your apartment, for your living accommodation per month can be as high as $800. You can prove me wrong. In some places, it can be as high as $1,000, especially if you take the landscaping bills once per year as well. So when that retired lady rented out 1 room in her 2-room apartment to 2 students, she started receiving an income much higher than her utility bills. So she had some extra money to spend on. That's when your apartment becomes your asset. So a year later, she saved enough money to pay for our fee-based training course and saved some money too. So usually if you don't know what to do with your extra money, invest it in 2 or 3 instruments like a bank deposit, etc. So liabilities is everything that costs you money. So your homework is to write down the number of your assets and the number of your liabilities and what liabilities you could turn into an asset, okay? That's your task. So what are the financial flows of rich people? That was a like crazy, insane revelation for me. No, I conducted so many webinars. I met people that were for 15 years in the investment business. When I showed them this picture, they said, "Oh my God, I thought I lived in the circles of rich people, in the category of rich people. But when I heard you, I realized that I was living in the financial flow of the middle class people, not rich people." Why? Because, so what is the properties are of the people living in the financial flows of rich people? For example, you earn $1,000 and you spend $500 only, and $500 is the balance, right? So you are financially independent for 2 months. So the secret and the magic behind your transitioning, not necessarily your particular, but any person's transitioning from the financial flow of a poor person, from the middle class person, to a financial flow of the rich person, the magic, the key, the secret key to it is to start putting aside 10%. 10% is, it's also, I include it in the 5 rules of a private investor, which is to pay yourself. So even if you earn $5,000 and you spend $2,000, you set aside $3,000. It doesn't mean that you have to invest all those $3,000. You need to dress well. You need to maybe change your living conditions, etc.
So the magic of 10% saving is that when you save 10% and learn to invest, miracles start 1 year after when you do this. 1 year after, so there are miracles in your life, real miracles. And why I call it a magic stick of investing. A magic stick is to set aside 10% of your incomes. And what are assets? They are bonds, shares, cryptocurrencies, financial markets, and etc. We study. Yesterday, there was a course, the next session, 8 fundamentals of the basic investment training, where we study different segments and the instruments which could be used in different segments of the financial markets and investment markets. Dear friends, please remember an important thing and write it down. The more assets you have, the higher income you have. Wealthy people always work for the assets, but middle class and poor people work for liabilities. You know why wealthy people always pay for at least 4 seconds later than poor people? Poor people buy, they are in the line and they buy their Apple phones in order to get the first iPhone and then be 100 in a line of people waiting for this iPhone. This is a crazy thing to do. And 1 month after, actually, it will be sold in every store, iStores. And why a wealthy person always buys at least 4 seconds after the purchase is made by a poor person. Do you want to learn this? If you want, please put a plus. And plus several pluses, put several pluses if you know the reason. If you know the answer to my question, please put several pluses. I will give you 4 different reasons why a rich person buys 4 seconds later or even much later than a poor person, because a rich person asks to himself such a question, because generally we make purchase on emotions. And the 4 questions they ask to themselves. Question number 1, whether this particular purchase will bring me closer to my goal. This is the first question to ask. The second question to ask is, the second question which a rich person asks to himself is, can I get a discount? Can I get a discount? The financial thinking, yes, it's clear. And the third question he asks to himself, and actually it's very important, can I buy it at a wholesale price? Can I buy it as a wholesale batch? The first question, does it bring me closer to my goal? Can I get a discount? And can I buy it at a wholesale price? And the fourth most important question, can I pay for this product later? So these are those four important questions you always need to ask yourselves if you want to have a financial flow of rich people. So, and when you set aside 10% of your income, you already start entering the flow of wealthy people. And not the amount of money makes you rich, but this is the correct distribution and allocation of your money. This makes you rich. If you do it, then I congratulate you. And the next most important thing, please write down a plus if you want to move to a financial flow of a rich people right now. If you want to shift to the financial flow of rich people, you need to buy such an envelope like I have. One envelope, it's empty. Write it down on this envelope the way I did. Do you see it? On the top of the envelope. And from today, from this very moment, we will have several minutes break, 1 minute break. Please open your wallets immediately right now and put aside 10% of what you have in your wallet. You have 1 minute break. There will be some music played. Nikolai, please do it. Take an envelope or take something, and now you have 1 minute break to open your wallets, calculate what you have in your wallets, and set aside 10% of what you have in your wallets. Right now, do it. You'd better put it into the envelope, but if you don't have this envelope, please simply take it aside. And those people who will run similar courses later on, please use this trick or distribute the envelopes to your students and tell them that I congratulate you that from this very moment you are on the path to being wealthy. Nikolai, please play the music and do it right now. Take your wallets and calculate everything you have in your wallets and put aside 10% of what you have in your wallets. On the envelope, there was the word savings, my savings. Can you hear me now? Do you hear my cracking voice? Well, and then a lot of you. So the question, 10% of your saving should be accumulated in this envelope. So keep this envelope at home. We will discuss later on how long you need to keep it, to save it. Well, if you come back to the commandments, you need to learn to save 10% of your incomes, of all your incomes. Again, you hear this cracking. And what about now? Great, good. Now the sound is good. Then, control your incomes and expenditures, because a lot of people, even you wrote down 1 or 2 sources of income, but the lines of your expenditures are your apartment bills, utility bills, those mandatory expenditures, meals, food, commuting fees to your jobs and back works, the petrol for your car, the mobile phone charges, power bills. If you have a housekeeper, then you need to pay for her services as well, and etc. and etc. And this is the minimum list of 10 lines of expenditures. At least 10 lines of expenditures. And here I would like to advise you to make such a table. Draw up your balance sheet. Later on we will discuss it. This is a table or a statement of your incomes and expenditures. The statement of your revenues and expenditures. In the Russian-speaking chat, I will post it myself. The link. Yesterday, I prepared something for you and Nika. The incomes and expenditures. If possible, please share this with the other language-speaking chats as well. Lines of incomes and expenditures. This is a table of incomes and expenditures. It will be available for Russian speakers, and I do ask you to share the same thing with other language speaking chats. Please copy this link. This is a table of or a statement of incomes and expenditures. The first column is date. The next 4 columns are your revenues and the balance, day balance, then your income, your main income, additional income, and the total income, and the balance you have in your wallet or in your bank cards, some cryptocurrency if you have it as well, add it up, and the balance at the end of the day. So then incomes, the main income, maybe you receive some income daily. Actually, you need to strive to get daily income or additional income. And you will ask me where I can get some additional income if I am employed. When you have a job and after the training, actually, before this training, before this webinar, I never gave leave to some people and didn't get any money for this. So I was living in the outskirts of the city, and I actually gave some lift to the people with no money being paid. But after this training, actually, I started getting or collecting this money. And most interestingly, do you know how many people and how many income I managed to generate by giving this lift? On a monthly day, actually, you can do it on a monthly basis. You can earn up to $50. And please write down a plus if you don't take the change you receive when you do your shopping. So I didn't take this change as well. But do you know there is a good saving that a kopeek actually saves up the Russian. The cents, a cent saves up your dollar. A dollar could not be without 1 coin, without 1 cent. It will be 99 cents minus 1 cent. And 1 cent saves up your ruble, your dollar. And therefore, always collect your change, these cents the shop assistants give you. I have a special jar where I put these cents, and actually I recommend you to hear my meditation. The money magnet. If you don't understand Russian, you will actually get the money, you will attract money to you, but I have such an ability when there is the music played in different languages and you can read yourself the meditation and you can share it with our translators and you can actually read what is provided as the subtitles in this meditation, the money magnet. And the third point is protect your money against any losses. You need to learn to invest. We will see what investing is and learn always learn to earn more. So there are people who may say, I first of all want to learn to earn more and then save 10% of my income. So no matter which incomes you have today, so this is the sequence of these 4 items, and only afterwards you will learn to earn more. And it's very important. Someone will tell me that I want to get an apartment now. I can get a loan. In Europe, loans are provided with 1.5% interest rate or 0.5 interest rate. Also in Europe, they increase the rates as well. But if you reinvest, not actually reinvest, but you recredit or reinvest it with other banks, they always make some interest rates on you, and you always buy liabilities and you will have to pay for these liabilities. And if something happens to you, then your life will look like this. So you have a lot of liabilities, no assets. What to do next? And most interesting thing, the reason I show you this picture for you to understand. Once when the banking sector was advertising a lot and promoting their loans, and the price of these loans will increase, a lot of people became debtors. They are financial slaves. And actually, it's very easy to manipulate the people who are financial slaves. And I came to a conclusion when I became bankrupt. Quite interestingly, I took a loan for the business purposes in order to develop my business, to get some land plots, construct some buildings, and then earn the profits. Once it was quite successful, and then we used our own houses as the collateral. At that time, my house costed 1 million. My acquaintance's house costed about 3 million. Actually, we used it as the collateral for this loan, like Robert Kiyosaki wrote in the book. And then in 2009, when I became bankrupt, I learned that the Robert Kiyosaki's technologies, unfortunately, are not functional in our market with this currency exchange rate difference. In European market, in the US market, UK, when they have the pound sterling, yes, you can do it. But what happens in our case? What I calculated in 2009, should I have and invested 450,000 US dollars into my house? For you to understand, in any country of the world, you can live on 5,000. If you can have only 5,000 US dollars to have a good life. You can rent a house of 3,000 and spend something on your car and something on your meals. And when I divided this 450,000 invested into my house divided by 5,000, actually I could live a good life within 7.5 years. A part of the money could be used to get some passive income, which will cover everything. But I constructed a house on a loan. We constructed and sold the facility, and then we started to construct something new. And actually, from 2008, we were trapped. And many people say, this is my accommodation when I take a loan. It's a bullshit, guys. So it's better to live a life of your dream in the flow of the rich class, of rich people. I have a course. Unfortunately, it is only in Russian. I will do my best for this course to be translated in other languages, foreign languages, English, Italian, Spanish, all the languages we have, and Hindi as well. And remember one important thing. You can live a life of your dream 3 months after. For example, you may be driving a car right now, or you walk or take the underground to get to your job, or you live in an apartment, quite small flat, because once I was making a good income and we lived in a 2-room apartment together with my mother-in-law. When I saw this family, actually I said, you make a good earning, you can rent a 4-room apartment, and what is the price? About $1,000. Then you drive a car, but actually by paying 1,000 in Europe, you can rent, you can lease a good car, you can rent a good car, another. So altogether you have $2,000. And what is your bill for meals? Another 1,000 euro. And altogether we get 3,500 euro for a person to live a life of his dream in a 4-bedroom apartment, or you can rent a house with a swimming pool by paying 3,000 or 3,500, and you can rent for another 1,000 a car. You want to live in a good apartment with the overview to some mountains, and today's earning of this person is 2,000 or 5,000. So you need 1,000 for meals, 1,000 for your car, and about 1,500 for your apartment. And altogether you need only 3,500. But your today's income is 2,000. And then the next the following principle is that you can learn to make more. And today your income is 2,000. You take only 1 month to learn to earn more, to earn 4,000. And if your job is good, then you take another 1 month to learn how to earn more. And altogether, after 1, 2, 3 months maximum, you will move to a house of your dream or a flat of your dream. You rent a good Mercedes or BMW. This will be a long-term lease contract. And you know where the value is. I'm saying all this because I experienced this myself. And when I learned how nice it is, I drove 3 months one car, and 3 months after I took a different car, and 3 months after actually I changed the car again. But my acquaintances, my friends who saw me changing my car every 3 months, he said, did you buy all of them? And I said, no, I simply rent them. And the business and the Academy of Private Investor, actually you can invest here and have some referral income. And at that time I got this referral income as well. And therefore multi-level network marketers, so they can improve their incomes and move to better accommodations and drive better cars, and then save money for good fancy holidays and vacations. And therefore, dear friends, please, if you can, come back to the table I shared with you. There is a line, expenditures, the 5% of reserve fund, your 10% saving, taxes, the expenditures on your training and education. You need to put the percentage. Actually, you don't need to put it. You can take a file there and take it, either download it or create a copy, and there you will write down everything. And when you see your expenditures a day, there you can create a form, a template in this Excel spreadsheet. And in this form, I delete this line. You can do everything automatically. So you put your expenditures and then you have a balance as of the start of the new day. And when you make all these calculations, and then at the bottom, you have your sums, your totals in any currency, and the percentage, the ratio. So your home task is to learn to run this table of incomes and expenditures. 8 rules of a private investor. We are moving on. So the basics of capitalization, or fundamentals of capitalization. We've studied 8 rules, so therefore we will not repeat them. And now the fundamentals of capitalization, what you need to understand, and this will be your home task. So 3 variants. Percentage of your capital gain. 8%, 12%, and 6%. Under the first scenario, actually you save $10 every month, and the next month you have 200, the 48th month 400, and the 49th month you have 500 if you save only 10% of your 100% $100 income. But if your capital gain is 8%, then 80 months after you have 500 saved and invested at 8% interest rate. Your capital and the capital gain is $1 million after 8 months. But if the interest rate is 18 months, then you can actually get it 59 months after. Should you increase your income, as it is written down here, learn to earn more, then where is the peculiarity? You may not save 10%, but after the second year, save up 10%, 20%, or the third year, 30% will be saved. But should you have some additional incomes, then from your additional income, you can, for instance, 30, 40, 50% of your additional income to be set aside on a monthly basis. And this way you increase your capital gain, and you can do it within a shorter period of time. Your home task will be calculate the capital gain of 12%. You will tell me it's not possible. So actually, I often receive this question, Andrey, please show me those 0 level investors or negative level investors. We will discuss about this at our next session. So the people at this level of investor, they ask, Andrey, please show me a place where I can get 12% interest rate a month. So when I receive this question, I immediately realize that this person belongs to a very low level of investors. But here is my proof that it is a reality. The company grew by 24 million% per month throughout these years, 43 years. The monthly capital growth is 3 million for Google. The company grew by over 3 million per month. Facebook company,
over the period of 16 years, whereas Google, it took them 21 years. Facebook is 16 years. So was the average growth of almost 11,000% per month, while the Bitcoin, you can see that the average growth was 7.5 million% per month. You see, so those 12% that we're showing you, with the correct understanding what investing is, if you have the correct investment mindset, you can develop it in 1 year, taking our training courses from the Academy of Private Investor. I know that some of the courses are translated in English, Spanish, Italian, and is being translated into other languages as well. You will develop the correct investment-driven mindset. So calculate your capitalization. This is your homework. If you invest $500 every month at an average monthly rate of 3, 5, 8, 12%. So you just take an Excel spreadsheet instead of using a calculator. So $500 $500 first month plus it should have been $500, but it's 200 here. Okay, 3%. It's what? $6 plus month one. You see, we have a mistake here. Instead of $500, it's $200. Then at 5%, it's $25. Then we have $525 at the end of the month, plus the $500 net next month. It's $1,025. Then at 8%, at 12%, you do the same math, and you need to calculate the same thing for the period of 88 months, which is 4 years, 96 months, 8 years, 12 years, multiplied by 12, it's 144 months. 12 multiplied by 16, 192 months. Well, as far as 16 years, okay? You can do it automatically in the Excel spreadsheet. You can use the formulas. If you don't know how to do make formulas in the Excel spreadsheet, you can Google it up. There are a lot of different trainings. So you use the formulas and you will see those figures. And most importantly, you'll see when you earn your first million, like dollars, euros, whatever country you're living in, and what will be your monthly gains. And then you can describe it, and you can tell us what you saw, what realization dawns on you. It's very important to see and to measure the degree of realization. So the second thing that you need to describe is, what did you feel when you calculated and saw this result, and what months? And thirdly, share your realizations in social media with friends and relatives, family members. When I took the training, in 1997 in insurance company. When I did the math using a calculator, I started sharing it with my friends. I said, like, friends, I made the math for the next 20 years. I took this training course and they gave us this home assignment and it changed my life. And the question 4, which I forgot to add here, if in your centers, in your cities, you have game-based training, Genius of Finance, you simply must attend the game-based training, Genius of Finance. This is item 4 of your homework. You need to attend that training. It's a game called Genius of Finance. So let's move on. Financial plans, personal financial plans, and the creation of your own financial plan. Why do we need to create it? So the financial plan is based on your saving 10% during year 1, then 20% during year 2, because during year 2, if you have an additional source of income, then it can be from 30 to 50%, not more than 50%. It can be 30% of an additional income can be invested in the instruments which yield you an additional income. So here it says $100. We get the first million at the month 55. And the second case, when we invest at 80%, you get it after 80 months. So when you create a financial plan for 4, 8, 12 years, you can calculate your achievements, your results. The second question here is, why financial plan would, why do you need it? Well, some people say that I need a financial plan to buy myself an apartment or a house. I remember that according to the financial plan that I made, I should have built the house of my dreams in 2020. Since I started working in the multi-level business again, so I built the house of my dreams in 2017. So I was ahead of my plan by 3 years because I saved that money since I have saved that money since 2013. So my plan was a 8 years plan. So I had all the money invested, which should have increased and multiplied for me to be able to buy my house. And eventually I bought the house of my dreams at 50% of its original cost. So when you rent an apartment, so I wanted to live in Thailand. I lived there almost a year, more than a year. But actually, after 1 year of around the year summer, I started missing snow and winter. So we left Thailand. But when we lived there, even before, I rented an apartment. And when I realized that it is better to rent bigger and bigger apartment each time instead of buying an apartment on a loan, well, like people with like different banks and multi-level marketing companies, they provide loans for apartments, etc. But consumer credits are an evil. It's an evil, pure form of evil. It's a financial slavery. So those of you who might have taken the loan, you know that as long as you have your salary, your income, everything is great. But as soon as you lose your job or your salary decreases, that's it for you. The game's over. But even if you have your salary at a stable level, your income decreases as well. Still decreases because of the inflation. So friends, when you live in the same place, for example, I rented a house for $1,500 without a swimming pool. Then we moved to Thailand and I rented a house for $1,700 with a swimming pool. Then I wanted a better house, better car. And my goal was that in 3 months, I'm gonna move to a different place. I moved to a different place 2 months later because my income grew. Because when you set for yourselves plans to earn bigger and more, then you implement those plans. Then we moved to a different place, and there was this big construction site with better villas. We needed to move, so I moved to another place for $3,000. I leased a car, I rented a car, and so my monthly spending was $7,000. And then I set as myself another goal to move in 2 months, and I moved in 1 month. But when I moved to Russia, I rented a house very much similar to a palace, which cost $3,500 plus utility bills, plus a babysitter, the cook, the maid, and the monthly spending was almost $7,000, which was the exact amount I spent in Thailand. But that's what happens when you raise the bar. So when you're building your own house, you will not build something that is inferior to a place where you used to live. You want to live in a better place of a higher standard. So you can start living the life of your dream in a couple of months. You don't have to wait for 30, 40 years. So I'm giving you this like solid facts. If a person is convinced, then you need to take a loan because it's gonna be yours. You own the place. Instead of paying to a landlord, you pay for your own apartment. But then what if this happens, what I'm showing you here? If that person, if they take him away his apartment, take away his car, sell it by auction, or the collectors arrive and take it away from you, and then you're still in debt. So that person bought a 1 or 2 room apartment on a mortgage, and maybe he lives there with his family and his mother-in-law, I don't know, or mom. And then he loses his job, or the income is not high enough to pay the mortgage. That person needs to move to a smaller apartment, 1-room apartment, and lives there with his wife, his child, and his mother. But if you don't owe anything to anyone, and if anything happens, okay, you can give away your rented car, and you go and take the metro, and you move to a smaller apartment, but you don't owe anything to anyone. That's what you need to understand before you take a loan. So the second thing is, what financial plan would you like to create for 4, 8, 12 years? When you create it, you can pick your plan. Next. What amount are you planning to save and invest every month? So what kind of money it's going to be? You need to put it down. And fourthly, are you ready to increase the amount of investments every year? For example, you invest 10% during year 1, then 20% during second year, etc. And then, when are you ready to take part of all of your monthly profits? For example, you can withdraw the profits from your liquid assets. Or, for example, you are building... the reason I'm saying liquid assets, because you cannot withdraw money from... withdraw profits from non-liquid assets, like the construction of a house or some venture projects that is going to take off in a couple of years. So what do you need to start making your financial plan? If you take our EIP 5 educational informational package, there is the basics for the creation of the financial plan. Those of you who bought EAP 6, 7, 8, you by default get the fundamentals of making your own financial plan. That's what you get in those EIPs. It's the ABC of making a financial plan. Then you need to create a balance sheet for the months. It's the incomes and expenditures table that I uploaded. Then you need to define what amount you will be dedicated to investment contributions or deductions, like 10% of the main income and 30% of the additional income during year 1. And the second year, it will be 20% of the main and 50% of the additional income. In the third year, it will be 30% of the main income and 50% of the additional income. And you'll know what to do. Then item 3, create a financial plan for 4, 8, 12 years and follow it strictly. Item 4, study the elementary school and especially fundamentals of the creating financial plans in the remote learning of a private investor, the LPI, in the EIP 5. And item 5 is, as soon as you create a financial plan, start investing, strictly following your financial plan. Remember, one of the rules of the 8 rules of a private investor is to observe the financial discipline. Do you remember what rule number it is? Who remembers? What number is it in the 8 rules of a private investor? Observe your investment discipline. Someone says rule 5, someone says rule 6. Yeah, it's rule 5. So I also would like to mention a few words about the economic crisis and what is going to happen in 2020. Remember, in 1929, there was a Great Depression in the United States. It was caused by the financial emperors in the United States, and then they duplicated it in other territories. Then we had the 1975 Asian crisis related to gold. Then in 1998 and 2001, the former USSR country suffered greatly. And if I'm not mistaken, Latin American countries suffered from it too. In 2008, 2011, there was a serious crisis. And when will be the next crisis? In 2020, 2021, 2022? If you are armed with investment knowledge, if you work in the multi-level crowd investing system within our program, CryptoUnit, I assure you, as soon as the crisis hits. So what I would like to offer you, there are a lot of preconditions for the new global crisis, but it's not going to be just a crisis, it's going to be a collapse, and it can start this year. All the prerequisites are there. it might not be similar to the crisis of 2008 because we have cryptocurrency already. But if the crisis in the fiat world, in fiat money world starts, then the cryptocurrency will gain, and those will benefit. That those companies will benefit that have a lot of clients, a big client database, and entrepreneurial database as well. And that's what we're doing. This year we are planning to have 10 million users in the new system and 1-2 million entrepreneurs. When I recall 1998, when I first became bankrupt, and when the crisis of the 1998 hit, my network grew insanely. So what I would recommend to you, if you're not yet in the multi-level crowd investing system, look into it and go there. Join it. If you are just an investor, as I was, I started doing it step by step, gradually. The more information you share with different categories of people, the better it's going to be. Why? Because the CryptoUnit program, now the price of the CryptoUnit in October is $1. That's the target price for our CryptoUnit. Well, first it's going to be 15 cents, and then the price will increase. It depends on different factors, but according to our plans in October, the CryptoUnit price is going to be $1. But if crisis hits, like some collapse kicks in, and we're going to see what's going to happen in the financial markets, we'll see the first messages, first signals. Then in May, we have plummeting in significant markets, and I guess it will be in the Asian markets, there will be a decline. And if it happens, then it could be expected that in August this year, there might be an insane plummeting. But where will people go? They will seek sanctuary in currency, foreign currency. But for them, foreign currency is cryptocurrency. And we are planning to create our own blockchain for our CryptoUnit by summer, in spring, summer. It's from May to the early summer. We're going to have our own blockchain platform with our tokens, which are going to be mined based on the CryptoUnit blockchain. And where will people go? Let me give you a story of 2008, when an insane crisis shook the entire United States, when a lot of people, a huge number of people, went into the multi-level marketing system. Such companies as Amway, Herbalife. There were the other new companies that appeared, but those companies were a product-based business. Now, there is a big fight waged for the community of people. And communities of people, huge community of business, people from multi-level business go into multi-level crowd investing business or multi-level blockchain business, cryptocurrency business.
And in the cryptocurrency market, there is the regulation of business where pyramids and crooks, like in 2015, 2017, where any when do STO and there was no liability, no responsibility, and actually it's quite unlikely that they will survive to die. Today, only the legal company, and we are moving to the process of getting all the approvals, all the permits and authorizations. It means that we, as the multi-level crowd investing company, will become one of the most popular, and I want to become like N.E.E.W became the first company in the MLM business. I want our company related to the community, new community. And by the way, in January, we will set up and open multi-level company, the Association of Direct Sales. And then the daughter companies will be established globally. And then in the system of multi-level crowd business, we will become a role model for others. And we are preparing for spring, summer, maximum August, because in August there is quite a high likelihood of the market decline. Today they print a lot of fiat money flow, but actually they are pumping another bubble, and it applies to Russia, China, India, Latin America countries. So they are pumping the fiat money market. And therefore, dear friends, since we follow and enter not only the sphere of crypto market, and also intend to cover all the other businesses through Shikat, all the people that will join, they will have a lot of opportunities. And when the storm strikes in August, they will not come to multi-level companies. They would come to the place, to the company which is actually specializing in financial instruments. But we will already have our reputation as the giving funding from 2014, the Skyway. No one could do it, but we did it. So actually we created the conditions for raising funding for them up to 70%. So therefore, dear friends, you can get more knowledge on investments, on investing, and please share this knowledge with the maximum number of people you can. So your task is to share this knowledge within the next week until our next session with at least 10 persons you know who may not know nothing about the multi-level business. Please tell them only about 8 rules of a private investor, and share this with another 10 people by saying them, you know, I got the home task. Can I come to you and we enjoyed our tea, and I will tell you how to make $1 into $1 million, or how you can turn 1 ruble into 1 million rubles, or $1,000 could be turned into 100 millions. Did you get it? Please put a plus. I see someone is asking for a break. Nikolai is saying that interpreters need a break. So let's have a 10-minute break, and we will come back at 4 p.m. sharp. Later on, I will tell you what financial flows of leaders and top leaders of MLCI are. Andrey Khovratov has stopped to make a 10 minutes break. So we are waiting for another 1 minute and he will start. Денис, ты тут? Yes, we are still on and we're still waiting for Andrey Khovratov to come back. My name is Andrey Khovratov and I present a new course called 8 Rules of Wealth. But there are some interruptions. Now, please sound check. Can you hear me? Great, I see that you can. Thank you. There won't be any sound now because Andrey is not back yet and we are still having this break. But actually the break was promised to end at 4 sharp. There is a video played in Russian about Andrey Khovratov. From a video book, 8 Rules of a Private Investor, you can learn the basic things and apply them in practice. What financial independence is and how it is different from financial freedom. The difference between investing and investments. 5 commandments of a private investor. What the financial discipline is and greediness is. So the main secret of wealthy people. 300 up to 1,000 capital gain on your investments. Today, you can get this invaluable information which will change your financial standing forever. Your incomes will only grow and multiply. Right now, please push a button which you see here and write down your name and log in your email address for us to know where to send this information to. Can you hear me? Please, using the scale of 1 to 10, write down if you can hear me well. So, can you please write down if you suffered from the crises in 2011, 2008? Yes, please write down if you suffered from it, if you had some pains because of it. I read that there is again the cracking sound. Yes, we do have such people as far as I see. Yes, you faced that crisis. At that time, I had minus 10,000, but me being a part of MLM business, I managed to cope with that. And within the next 1 year, actually, I managed to gain even more. And 22,000 was earned. And out of this, 10,000 was spent for training. Елена Медведева managed to earn on the currency exchange difference. And what about the crisis of 2008, 2011? I lost almost 50% of my money, someone else writes down. And actually, I realized that money can easily bring you to the financial slavery. So actually, it's quite difficult to manage your life when someone else controls your money. And therefore, the situation is quite tricky and sensitive. My next question to you, please write down, if you want, the following. I want to avoid the next crisis in my life, future crisis in my life. If you want this, please write this down in the chat. If you want this, please write this down. I want to avoid crises in my life in the future. And you want these crises not to bother you. The reason I'm asking this is that 95% of people, when the crisis strikes, lose almost everything. And there are those who commit suicides because of this stress. The only protection is to get equipped with the knowledge you today gain, to get this knowledge as a gift, as a present, openly and available. It is available. I do not want to say that it is free of charge. This is a free gift, but anyway, this is a gift to all of you. And for 2 weeks, it will be available. Please study, play it again, and study it with your friends, with your relatives. And please understand, this is the knowledge everyone needs. I will tell you one story. So when I learned this knowledge, I always shared my knowledge with others. And they were different people, by the way. And I had one relative who once told me, Andrey, you can actually share this with your people, you can cheat them, but what can I do? My business crashed. How can I overcome this difficult situation? I told him, well, you see, whenever I come to you, you drink beer, but you may not drink 2 bottles, but drink only 1. And 1 bottle will be saved up, and it's like saving some dollars. And sometime after, I came back to him again to enjoy my tea and see that he's drinking 1 bottle only. And he said, I started to set aside. And he said, yes, it started to help me. But one of the factor, actually, we learn what assets, what liabilities are. And the third point is to put aside 10% or a bottle of beer. And the fourth factor is to open your business. Which business I can open, he asks. And in 2011, I took another course. And actually, there are some rules of monetization of the business. There is some lightning. I will turn on additional light. It would be better, I think. The courses on investing, the courses not on investing, but on your mission and purpose. And by taking this course, I realized that I'm quite unique. Any topic you share with me, I can tell you how you can make a lot of money on this topic. It is called monetization of the idea. And once I visited, I attended different festivals, ethnic festivals, and met different people, some magicians, some bewitchers. And you know, I always have a bag of my own runes. My wife made this for me. And actually, I took this course, how to read these runes and talk to my agents, to my saviors, to my personal supporters. And I realized one important thing, that people quite often underestimate their values they may give to other people. And after talking to this relative again, he told me, I decided to engage in one business. I want to become a representative in fire extinguishers, because in every flat there should be a fire extinguisher. We spent 2 hours together with him, and I wrote him a short business plan. You can do this, that, and this. And he said, well, I have some friends. And I told him, why do you need this? The producers of fire extinguishers, actually you phone them and tell them that you want to represent them in this country where you live. So there were some producers, you phone them and tell them, I want to become your dealer, your representative, your distributor. Then in your district, you have about 300,000 people living in this neighborhood, and this number of companies on the internet, we searched was the number of businesses in the district. You call them up saying that I am a dealer of this company. Do you need the fire extinguishers? So we wrote his business plan within 2 hours, and 1 week after, I promised him to come back to see what he did. I came back 1 week after, but he did nothing. And actually, I showed him how to do it. we call one plant, the second plant, the third plant, and everyone agrees to have a representative at their plant. We selected a dozen of enterprises, and out of these 10, 4 plants decided and agreed to accept the representative. And I told him, look, 1 hour and a half after, you have the database of your clients, but you are doing nothing. You are sitting idle and doing nothing. You need to start doing something. The reason I'm saying this is that there are a lot of people who even have a business plan to follow, but they do nothing. And then the question is, they don't need the demand for money. And the reason I'm always tell you, please dream big, because in any situation you can find a way out. You can make more money, but the people must understand why they need money. If the money is needed only for the sake of making money, and unfortunately the poor people and middle class people work for money, whereas the rich people work for the assets, and their goal is to make more money, to get more assets, and to get more passive income. But here there is an important task, like the crisis, this ladder, these steps of a crisis. It's quite similar to our lives. A person makes some earning, then there is a decline, and again there is a growth trend. And when there is this decline, you need to create these assets with the only reason to support your way, your standard of living. There is one tricky thing, which people that follow this financial flow of poor or middle class people, they believe that as soon as they have the assets of 1 million, they will become millionaires. No, it's not the way. So there is such a notion as to be, to do, and to have. I believe you've heard this. To be, to do, and to possess, to have. This is the mindsets of a rich person. This is his work on creating the mindset of a rich person. But the poor class and the middle class, they have a different mindset. To have, to do, and then I will be. I will give you an example using the financial plan and when you can become a millionaire. Today, I will save up 10%. Today, I will save everything and invest everything in expanding my portfolio. And then 5 years after, I will become a millionaire and will live a life of a millionaire. The mindset is not correct. The correct mindset is that today you need to have the mindset of a millionaire. Today, you must become a millionaire today. Your way of thinking in your mind should be the following. But you need to read the books of such people as Donald Trump. His book, I recommend it to be read. You need to read the books of Robert Kiyosaki, books on financial development, on personal development, visit trainings, webinars, seminars, and those living in Moscow Oblast, in Moscow region, or the central Russia region. And there will be a timetable, because I will travel around the globe. I will visit quite probably Vietnam, India, US in summer. Also will come to the UK with my course on investing. Please visit these meetings, because you will receive not only the information, but the philosophy of the millionaire or billionaires. I'm still a US dollar millionaire, with the Russian billionaire. And when you communicate with such people, you get the energy from such people, and a part of this energy you take it. And the more you visit the courses delivered by different wealthy people and read the books, so please write down, every month you need to read at least one book on financial development, on personal development. So read the book of Donald Trump, which is called Think as a Millionaire, or As a Champion. And one of the most important things is that you always need to learn the philosophy of a millionaire, become a millionaire, act as a millionaire, and accordingly you will have everything a millionaire has. And you need to learn why the fifth commandment is to learn to make more. You always need to learn to earn more to improve your standard of living. But investing should be the basis as your cushion of protection. If, for instance, you would like to take a rest for 1 year, or you would like to write a book meanwhile, and there is no activities, and then you have some cushion you can rely on in case you do not have this main income and you climb a higher level, but you have this financial cushion which will support your standard of living, not to lose it.
So this is one of the important things that I wanted to convey to you. So what else I wanted to convey to you is that for you to share it with your friends, with people that have already their own networks, and those who had received the gifts of 200 CryptoUnit points for registration, make sure that they activated their accounts. Meet them and tell them what you heard and what you realized. Okay? Also explain them that this year, if not next year, a crisis might hit, and you need, in the crisis time, in the time of crisis, to be armed with knowledge. And if you're equipped with instruments and technologies, if you play our game-based training, Genius of Finance, if you play 5, 8, 10 times, he will ask himself, like, how can I earn more? Because there are different business cards, like chance cards, like how to become a multi-level business leader, etc. They will ask it themselves. So when I started the multi-level business myself, we're going to see the financial flows of leaders and top leaders of multi-level crowd investing. In 1998, I considered multi-level business. So when they asked me what was I doing, I said, I'm creating assets to have passive income. And the value of multi-level marketing is that the most important asset here, as you can see, is the partner and client network in the multi-level crowd investing. So what's unique about, insanely unique about the multi-level remuneration system, that's what I call it. People say I don't call it multi-level marketing. People are afraid of the term, of the notion. Well, why should you be afraid of it? Multi-level marketing is multi-level marketing in any continent, Africa, America, whatever, in South America. Why should you be afraid of it? There is a system of premiums, of premium payments, and there is history behind it, showing that this is one of the elite businesses. And there are different categories: clients, people who work on weekends as an additional source of income, professional marketers, and big leaders building big businesses. And when I realized that you can build a big business, which is not about investing a lot of money, but about taking actions, certain actions, like 10 meetings per day, 10 rendezvous per day, 20 presentations, 10 presentations per day, then if you do the math, it will be like 1,000 presentations per year. So I first came to the multi-level marketing as a client. I attended the school, and I decided to do the business, and that's what I did. Although I liked the business right from the get-go. Although I started developing then as a entrepreneur, then I became a leader as a businessman, and then I became the top leader. It's similar to a chain of retail outlets, but in our case, it is a network, a chain of sales distributors outlets with their own sub outlets all over the place, because you are both the consumer and you can earn on it as well. So when you buy shares of a company, or what many other network marketers do across the world, they try to buy as much real estate as possible, because you can lose money with stocks, you can lose money in the stock exchange, but real estate is forever in their perception. But if you have real estate, usually the payback period from for real estate is like 5-7 years or more. But some people buy real estate to resell it later. I met a guy, he said, I'm a professional real estate investor. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I buy at a cheap price, then I do repairs and I sell it at a higher price. And I said, you're not an investor, you're just a speculator. It's just the same as buying a cart of ice cream and then buying at $1 and then selling it each ice cream at $3. You're doing the same, but with real estate. You are not an investor, but you call yourself an investor, but you have speculative mindset. You buy cheap, you sell expensive. So when you buy apartment to receive a passive income to rent it out, then in 7-10 years you're gonna have your money back. It's the payback period, or a minimum of 3 or 5 years. Okay, but why people buy apartments on a loan? Because when you take a loan to buy the real estate and then you rent it out, part of your money from the renting, you pay your loan, and then if it exceeds the loan, you can even create some additional income. So you're creating a passive income to support your living condition. But then if you do not spend it, you can have enough money to buy another piece of real estate. Maybe your rent is very high and people pay a lot of money. Then you can buy a third item of real estate, and then you have 10 of them, and you cannot manage them on your own. So you have to hire managers, and it's not your passive income anymore. It's a business, because if you hire a manager, then part of the business will be taken by that manager as well. It's 100% that's what's going to happen. Now let's compare. An apartment real estate cannot give birth to another real estate. You see? And it cannot multiply. So let's take a look what multi-level business network is. A person today who is a client or an investor already in some time will receive some passive income. Then that person takes a training and he or she says, well, I want to do business, to invest, to increase my portfolio, to invest more in my portfolio, to receive more income. And that person becomes a businessman or entrepreneur by attracting new clients. Then that person goes through the leadership school and becomes a leader, and he has his own entrepreneurs in the downline. And then that person becomes a corporate businessman because he or she is already a top leader and has leaders below him or below them. There is a very interesting course by Petr Zhalbe, Massive Marketing. It's a 9-month course, they say. We are now collecting and picking top leaders of the company, all of those who are willing to be trained online over the period of 9 months, for them to become at least top managers in 1 year. And a top manager earns quite a lot of money according to our marketing plan. And Petr Zhalbe said, until I took the training 4 years ago, he had only a network of 30 people. When he took the training, his volume was more than $8 million, and his network was 15,000 people. Now he has 200,000 people across the globe. He's a millionaire. He might not have earned $1 million right now, but he lives a life of a millionaire. He can earn $60,000 per month. If we take the earnings of Petro of last year, he earned $700,000 or $800,000. What other assets can yield such a return? It is possible when you invest in Apple shares and you do not withdraw your profits for 40 years, or you might have invested in Bitcoin back in the day, and 10 years later, you could have reaped the profits. So our CryptoUnit program offers a similar opportunity. You can receive a passive income in the form of a profit bonus, and assets additionally will increase as well. And we are providing such opportunities. But most importantly, you need to learn how to create your own investment portfolio. And the network of multi-level entrepreneurs and businessmen is an independently growing asset, because none other asset, and additionally, you are in control of that asset and you can influence it. Even if your whole group left you. I remember 5 times my network left me, and I was all alone, 0. Everything I built over the period of 8 months was gone, and I started from scratch. I started building my business from scratch. And what you lose time. When you lose your network, you lose time. You do not lose your actual money. But you invest time in creating your independently growing assets. So this is the difference between a rich class from the financial flow of a rich class. But this is the multi-level crowd investing leaders we're talking about. For example, today you have an income of $1,000 per month. You are a client and you earn 2. Next year, you can earn $20,000, then $100,000, and then you earn $1 million. And the more you make, the more you can save, put aside as I said, from 10 to 50% into the expansion of your assets in order to multiply your assets even more and to receive even more passive income. Let me close down the shutters, the curtains, because the sun is shining right into my face. Okay, now we're clear. So the financial flows of leaders and top leaders of MLCI, multi-level crowd investing, are much better than the financial flows of rich people, because you have a network of partners and investors of multi-level crowd investing. Very valuable thing. And if you think, is it just about distribution and multi-level marketing in order to have an additional source of income in multi-level crowd investing, it's a totally different thing. You do not need to sell the product. And most interestingly, in the system of CryptoUnit, a person invests in education in order to learn the business, to learn the ropes, to learn about investing. That person will already receive income starting from the next month. It might not be a big income, but the bigger our volumes and our assets grow, the more liquid assets we have, the more profits that person receives. Of course, it might not be always on the rise. Sometimes, as life shows, like when crisis hits, that's the picture that we have. But as you can see, it's always growing. That's what happens in our lives, and in the lives of human beings, in the lives of business, and in multi-level business as well. At the next session, we are going to look into what additional sources of income are there, because when we talk with our friends, they say, I don't want to get involved in your multi-level business. Just give me an additional source of income, that's it. But if people don't want to get involved, but they want to have an additional source of income, tell them about what is in store for us this year. And if you do, those people will thank you later, my friends. So if we talk about the most profitable investment instruments in 2020, and I recommend you share it with your friends, one of the main areas, as I told you, if the crisis hits and everything looks like it will, the cryptocurrencies backed by real assets will grow. And our crypto unit is backed by real assets, real work. Well, the cryptocurrency market will grow, definitely. Ethereum will grow. Many other currencies will grow. People will join those areas. And the signal for that, you know which one is? And the signal for that is the Japanese bank recognized Bitcoin. And I guess because Satoshi is supposedly a Japanese, he's like the author, the creator behind the hottest cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. And the Bank of Germany today also creates accounts to keep cryptocurrency, mainly Bitcoin as well. In Russia, they now developed certain programs for the introduction of cryptocurrencies. In China, they are now considering the possibility of introducing cryptocurrencies. Why I'm saying that?
So once the multi-level marketing was like a children's play, and any phase of growth follows the same principles. First of all, you believe it to be a kindergarten, then the large business comes and understand that this business is incredible, and then you grew up to the professional level. It used to be to the multi-level marketing. Then I remember that it happened to Forex. There were Forex clubs. The clubs, Forex clubs, then they joined into some international organizations, into the international community, and everything was inside this system. And then many banks, starting from 2009, 2011, many banks ensured liquidity, and there were well-known banks such as JP Morgan, which provided liquidity to them. And afterwards, starting from 2012-13, any bank, any European bank, US bank you can enter, they will offer you some investment instruments. And one of them is to trade in a foreign currency market. Those foreign currency pairs created at that time. And the same applies to the cryptocurrency. And now the banks start to catch up with this trend. And it is the matter of time. And Facebook, for instance, there is a ban on Libor because they understand where it goes, but there are senators that promote the idea of cryptocurrency or lobby cryptocurrency, including Facebook, Amazon, and the market of cryptocurrency will have a growth this year. This is 100% sure, but you need to be correct and careful with the selection of cryptocurrencies. And as soon as we've done this session, there will be a webinar on the cryptocurrencies, how to assess them and which ones to select. Those areas which are not crypto token, but this month there will be the recording on blockchain based on Ethereum starting from this month. And this year, this month actually, we will reflect all our actions you see in the back office. They will be reflected or recorded on the blockchain. The first stage is over. And in February, we are preparing for some serious news. You know that the February 2020, this is the magical, the 20th, the year of 2020. Actually, it hits once in 100 year, and in 1,000 year, then there will be 30-30, 40-40. But the the 2nd of February 2020 is the date which you will never face in your life. And therefore, we are preparing a very interesting proposal or promotion. And at the summary webinar, you will learn about all this. So therefore, dear friends, if you come back to what we've done and talking to the people who today create us an opportunity to enter the crypto market, you know what they say? They say, guys, you did an incredible thing in 2019, actually, in crypto market. But we didn't enter crypto market yet. And actually, this is the case. I imagine when you enter the crypto market, what will happen to you? Why you have this huge demand? First of all, because we applied the principles of the multi-level business, multi-level marketing business, and the crew is backed by the real economic sectors. We have very ambitious goals. So please address those people who invited you and ask them to share this information. By the way, cryptocurrency is backed by the real assets, and we are the first pioneers here, and maybe the only one. There are the other companies using different methods and different approaches. Or the real technologies to be supported. Then there are some other blockchains with the realistic tokenomics of supporting the token they have. Therefore, in March, we will make one of the webinars on the cryptocurrencies and blockchains to be most popular this year. The second thing to note, to pay attention to this year, is the global businesses with the high opportunity of expansion. And it's not by chance that we put a logo of Sushi Master, and this is our goal, 20 or 30% of Sushi Master restaurants, an ambitious goal of Alex Kianovsky to have these restaurants this year, and at least 20% up to 400 restaurants under the 50 to 50 or 100% franchise. So we can develop and follow this trend. This is the company to expand. And actually, we don't have a lot of them, a few of them, but another piece of use. So we are working on the creation of the crowdfunding platform. And actually, there are a lot of them today, but well regulated by the regulators, there are very few of them. Your fingers will be enough to calculate them all. And we're preparing this platform this year. And there we will attract a lot of companies which will develop globally. Where people, through our crowdfunding platform, one of our targets is to record data on our blockchain of CryptoUnit. And this way, if there are some segments of businesses with the high potential for expansion, we can consider this. And in addition, we will talk about this at the 8 fundamentals of the private investor and some other courses, and other companies such as Shikart, because it has a global vision of expansion as well. And we signed a contract with them to enter their business 50 to 50. In case of Sushi Master, our share in the equity is 5%, but in Shikart, this share is 50. So then we have global stock markets in the short-term perspective of 2-4 months, because we can make money both on declining markets and on growing markets. And here, represented by Igor Romanenko, we also have some partners who will tell us and show us how to enter some markets and leave these markets, exit these markets, and diversify our risks. The next item is companies with high business expansion rate, mostly MLM and MLCI companies, or based on blockchain, and multi-level companies. And they will attract investments as well, both through IPO and direct investments into these companies. Number 5, innovative transport technologies we invested in and we expect to continue. The investment education, we receive some proposals. Well, you know, once I said that I would like to invest into space technologies and space rockets, and there are a lot of technologies, and we received these proposals, and as soon as we hit the volume of over $100,000 million a month, then in detail we will consider all these proposals and invest into them, because this is a reality and this is our future which we will face, because there are some technologies for the design of quadrocopters or drones. If you saw them in a movie, what is the name of this movie? Avatar. So there are huge military quadrocopters, but there are similar things for construction business, for construction segment. The next item is investments in education, and the most profitable. Well, look, there are companies today who do IPO, and we prepare our academy. We set up the Academy of Private Investor in the UK with the intention to create a very strong, powerful educational processing, and few years after, we will prepare this company for IPO and the stock market. Then investments in the Academy of Private Investor, 8 courses of basic education of a private investor, and the investment consultant. If you invest into all these, dear friends, we are preparing a franchise of how you can make your money on this by creating a club of genius of finance. Like followers followed Robert Kiyosaki, we can actually create a franchise of genius of finance. And it's unique because there will be quite expensive case studies and some box versions of genius of finance game, which in different regions could be sold through a retail network. And through Shikat, we will attract a lot of companies, those companies such as bookstores and many others, those that sell different games. You can actually create system of sales there. And in gold mining companies or gold extracting companies, because last year Basel III was signed and gold is 100% liquid, and one of the targets is to invest into the gold mining companies and gold mining industries. And by the way, this is one of the most profitable segments which you need to consider and include into your investment portfolio. And in addition, what I said, the CryptoUnit program, which enables every person, imagine you may enjoy a chance to be a co-owner both today and in the future of the most profitable companies, businesses with the high capital gain. And imagine a situation, you study in a university and you get there, for instance, the assets of those companies for which this university trains specialists. You study in an academy which trains specialists for the pilot industry, aircraft industry, engineers, for instance. And there is an association of aviation business, and there are some shares of this association, and a person gets his education and he also gets the shares of this association. For instance, you are trained to become a pilot and you get shares of Boeing or Aeroflot or Airbus. You are trained to become a chef, a cook. You are trained, and monthly, because you pay for your education, when you make your payment for your tuition, you receive some shares of the restaurants that are members of the association of the training of these specialists. But it is not available in today's world. But this is the initiative of the Academy of Private Investor. We have some partner companies where through the CryptoUnit program, you receive EIPs and you can as well become a co-owner in the future of some segments. And this month, this year actually, you can become the owners of tokens, not of the units, but the real tokens, and you can do everything you want to them. And this year, we will unlock those tokens as soon as we come closer to the market and we'll start entering the market. We will unlock the tokens. Those who bought first, 10 months after, their tokens bought through EIPs will be unlocked and they can do anything they want to these tokens. So the people who, or the CryptoUnit program already spring this year, 1% a month within 6 months, afterwards 1.5%, then 2%, then 5% a month, this unlocking of the purchase tokens, and afterwards sales, and you can get most of the amount invested and even more. And you can do everything you want to those tokens you have in your accounts. You can sell it or you can trade in them after entering the crypto market. So you will get a lot of opportunities. So a lot of opportunities will be provided to all the holders. And today the CryptoUnit program is very universal program which enables each person to enjoy incredible opportunities. And now I would like to move to the second part of my session and discuss the following. Yes, last time we talked a lot what new economic evolution of the world is. And now I will give you some examples where we, as the CryptoUnit program, we became the partners of the Basel Technologies, the experimental plant with some money invested. We can address masses of people, our community. We start financing, then the production starts, and the basalt fiber is the foundation for the metal reinforcement structures and the polymer structures and the metal reinforcement metals, the pipes, metal pipes, and the metal products which could be replaced by the basalt material, including car industry and the insulation materials.
So this is a whole wide range, incredible range of products. So it can be $1 trillion market in the metal processing market will grow 3 times at least to $3 trillion, while the market of consumption of metal over the next 50 years will grow to $50 trillion, the volume of sales. But maybe we won't be able to produce so much metal, and that's where basalt fiber comes to our rescue, which can replace metal completely and adjust the whole situation. Similarly with heat insulators, we're now using mineral wool, which is quite dangerous, hazardous, or you can use basalt fiber. You can process it, and then you can use it as an insulator. And many of the insulators cannot be recycled. You need only to bury it when the life cycle ends, while basalt can be recycled many times. So if you invest in that area, we get the widest opportunities. So those people can, if the IPO happens, can sell the shares of those companies or can receive an income. And since we are in charge of that area, our objective is to ensure monthly basic unconditional income, which is called profit bonus. It's a money paid from the profits, which will be paid as a income. So let's see how it can be used in construction. If we enter that area, we can use the reinforced materials from basalt, and we can also, those materials can be sold in different other areas like resort real estate. That's another area of interest, and we can also enter into both real estate and hotel. Now we have such items, investment items in Krasnodar and Phuket, and there is another thing is time sharing concept, which can in very short period of time ensure that we catch up and overcome Marriott franchise or chain. There are around 12,000 rooms on a time-shared basis. So what those opportunities offer to our people? It's first of all a source of income, and then additionally, it is an opportunity to go on vacation in your own accommodation. And the reason why we want to catch up and overcome Marriott. So there is a chain in India which almost caught up with Marriott, and the owner found the market of cheap hotels in India, and he saw that 4 or 5 years ago there was a huge inflow of tourists to India, and they wanted to go to different places, but they were not sure whether there is any hotel in that location or not, because on booking.com there was no information about those hotels 4 or 5 years ago. So what he did is he saw the niche and he suggested to the hotels that I'm going to provide you with tourists, with clients, because he knew where hotels are in different parts of India, like sanctuaries, temples, other sites, and the tourist destinations. So those guys booked hotels through that person's website. And then he realized based on the feedback of those people, that they did not quite enjoy their stay because of the dirty linen, lack of hygiene, lack of good water, etc. So what he decided to do, he said, let me take your hotels, I'm gonna repair them, I'm gonna add my brand to it, and I'm going to ensure that much more tourists will stay at your hotel. And he said, let's do it 50-50 with the owners of the hotel. And then in 1-2 years, his room stock was so high that it was almost on par with Marriott room stock. Because Marriott, in more than 30 years, 40 years, I guess, had to reach that room stock. And that guy reached the same number of rooms available in 1-2 years without actually owning those hotel rooms. And then, of course, the owners complained later on that, now this guy doesn't do anything. The tourists are still coming, etc. But they forget very easily that from what it all started, that he invested, he repaired and he increased the level of accommodation in those hotels. And that's what we're doing too. We are investing in those hotels, and we are also co-owners of the real estate, resort real estate and hotel business that we invest in. Well, first we'll make resort real estate, and then we will invest in other hotels as well. So this is one of the areas of real estate, of investment in real estate. So the owners of real estate, resort real estate, can go to different people, and there are some companies that provide certain similar services. We are not the pioneers here. We just came up with a new technique, new technology, because we're going to focus on time sharing. And those who work in our network will have a product, real estate product, that you can sell through the network and attract a lot of different real estate agents. And those real estate agents can work with us by selling real estate the way you used to. And then you receive the commission fee within our multi-level system. Of course, the income might not be as high as in other segments. You can sell an apartment or a real estate item for $100,000, and your commission could be not 8% but 2%, still a very high amount. And you can also be a consumer of the same real estate items by using the system of bonuses and scores. And then there will be also an internal exchange system which will allow you to use your tokens to pay for your stay in different hotels. So after the real estate item is finished, you can receive the income after reselling it or renting it out, and the net income of an investor can be up to 10% from rent only. So there will be an opportunity for investment, and I guess it will start in spring, because we're gonna receive the construction permit in Krasnodar and the village hotel in Phuket. So guys who visited that place, they said that it was just incredible. The seaside and the general landscape and view were incredible. It's like being in a paradise. So the next thing is, like, you can be like the owners of restaurant business. So imagine a person who owns a franchise or works in food market, and he took a niche in the market and would like to make a profit or become successful. So that person, the franchise owner, needs capital, and that person can go to the bank to take a loan. This story is very familiar. So we have in Russia, we have this chain called Magnet. I think it's cosmetic products. They had small retail outlets from 50 to 70 square meters. So last year, the founder of that company had to hand over the controlling package of shares because he needed money. So the financial sector took over his business. So now imagine, let's take a neighborhood or a district in a city which already has a retail outlet, but the owner of that chain of food stores, and it can be a restaurant business, or it can be like a mall, which covers a small mall which has both food stores and restaurants or fast food outlets. And imagine that owner addresses the entire local population saying, I want to expand, or I want to build such a mall. Let's chip in. In exchange, I'm going to give you shares in that business. or it can be a token, like in our case. So the person invests in the real sector of economy, living in that same district. He's a co-owner. Of course, that person will go for shopping into that mall. And if that mall has a restaurant, that person will go to that restaurant because he is a co-owner of that restaurant. And by eating or making purchases there, that person will also receive a dividend income. And we want to pay our people monthly dividend income. So the net income for an investor and for the client can be from 3 to 10% per month, which is much higher than the bank deposit interest. Just want 3 areas: production, the second area was hotel business, and the third area was food products and restaurants. During our next sessions, we are going to discuss other areas that we can invest in, like science, agriculture, because this model is functional in other areas like retail, financial, innovation sector, innovations, agriculture, construction, medicine, health, social sphere, even in social sphere, education, industry, production, innovation, transportation technologies, culture and arts. This principle is functional and operational in all areas. So we can stimulate the economy of any country, and most importantly, just think about it, stimulate the consumer's demand. You watched our video, new video, and they say that banks stimulate consumers' demand. And now the financial sector blocked business. It is almost impossible to receive a loan for the development of a business. And even if you do receive the loan for the business development, they're going to give you like 30% backed by your assets. Like your assets will be used as a collateral. And if push comes to shove, you will lose it all. That's why this model is so unique and interesting. There are 2 ways of financing. You can either go to the financial sector and always be in debt, or crowd investing, which enables people to be investors' partners and receive the highest profit. And in this, and I would like you to understand what the new economic evolution of the world program is. It's a fair reallocation of capital. It's becoming the master of your own life, to understand the rules of wealth. And you bring benefit to people too. The more benefit you bring to the world, the higher you rise in that economic system. And if you tell me this is just theory, well, it's not. Steve Jobs, back in the day, created a unique software. Well, he was a very good PR man, yeah? So they created a possibility for every person to have everything in this device over here. This is huge benefit for the humanity. We can exchange photos. We can make a video and post it on Instagram. You can hold conferences using this device. This is a great benefit for the humanity. And Steve Jobs and his company have the highest capitalizations, exceeding $1 trillion. Well, in my understanding, their value is not actually $1 trillion, but the world of finance assessed their capitalization at $1 trillion because of the benefit they brought to the world, to the people. So we need to have knowledge in finance and investments. That's why we bring education to people. The more utility you bring into the development of society, the more benefits you receive. Let me give you a simple example, which will remove all doubt, how it can bring more utility. For example, a cleaning person or a cleaning lady. What kind of benefit they can bring? But you know that a good cleaning person, good cleaning lady, is worth her weight in gold if she's really good. For example, you hire a cleaning lady. She cleans the place, and I ask her, "Did you clean everything?" She said yes. And I remember when I was in the army, I go to the door, and I pass my fingers on the upper edge of the door, and I show her the dust, and I say, "Look, there is dust on the door. Why didn't you clean there?" And then I go to my wardrobe, and there is a place you can hardly reach, but there is still dust there. And I tell her, "Look, there is dust, so you didn't clean it well." Now imagine a professional cleaning person who goes to the IT developers, and they develop an IT software and a robot that can clean everywhere. And you can bring it to every house. Because sometimes a cleaning lady can get sick. And here you have a robot that can work 24/7 and clean your place. This is huge benefit, right? So together, that cleaning person and the IT developer developed as a software and a robot that can be used both in our households and in the hotels, and it will raise our living standards. But there is a problem here, that a lot of people will lose their jobs. That's inevitable. That's why we created the N.E.E.W program and CryptoUnit program. And this is my great request for you, those who market our program. Tell them about this. Do you know that in the next 3-4 years, almost 70% of professional drivers will lose their jobs because we have already unmanned vehicles, even trucks. There are unmanned trucks. Yandex next year is going to launch, or this year is going to launch unmanned taxis. In New York, there will be unmanned cabs and taxis. So professional drivers, taxi drivers, will lose their jobs. They will be replaced by machines. Let's take another example, like heavy manual labor. Very soon will be replaced by machines. Accountants, another profession that can be totally replaced by software. So a lot of financial experts and accountants will lose their jobs. That's why we are creating and developing, implementing our New Economic Evolution of the World program, because we need to teach people how to safeguard against those things by arming you with knowledge and instruments. That's what we need to share with people. And thirdly, the community society plus technologies equals progress and creation. Well, there is a simple example, like the creation of blockchain, Ethereum-based, Bitcoin-based. So what's unique about them? Well, I'm not going to say that blockchain is the panacea or like silver bullet. But when you create, after the creation of Ethereum or Bitcoin-based blockchain, IT developers came up that started improving it. There is a whole army of IT developers that are constantly improving those platforms. Other blockchain theos, when they improve, there are some forks as well, like spin-offs, because we're now going to create our own blockchain. We're going to create a fork of the already established blockchain, and we will further develop and improve it. It's like a spin-off. And so what's unique about our program is that people who come to our system will come to a system that will be constantly developing and improving. And here we need progressive thinking. We need to develop progressive thinking. You can't do without it. You need to learn how to understand information flows, because information flows are not only in business, economy, but also in geopolitics. Because the same piece of news can be differently interpreted in different corners of the world. So in one place, it can be interpreted through the geopolitical prism, and in another part of the world, it will be interpreted through the purely economical prism. And then the poor consumer consumer of the news won't know whom to believe, because you cannot, like, people in China may not believe what is said in the United States, or people in Russia might not believe what is being said in China. But if you go into this global information bank using the space energy technologies, you will be able to understand why certain event happened and whether it affects you or not. That's what we need to learn to do. And most importantly, you need to love your planet, love your surrounding people, yourself, because without that, the new economic evolution in the world won't be possible to implement. Those factors are very important.
Because if you stress money, financial development, 5 areas, and only money and only financial development, you will never get this opportunity. You need to understand in general the mission of the company, the mission of the mankind on the planet, and the humankind to move from this microeconomy, which is about myself only, my family only, and only today, but also move to macroeconomy and the macroeconomic mindsets, the planet-wide thinking, because we are a part of a large planet, of the large universe, and no matter which color skin you have, either white or black, so no matter which nationality you are, we are all residents of the earth, and you need to understand the macroeconomic philosophy. And if we do not treat our planet as our home, if we stop saying that I like this nation but dislike or despise those nations, I like these people but dislike and despise those countries, but we are all the same. We take the same direction, and we all together should be in the community, in the harmony. And therefore, the Academy of Private Investor signed an agreement, cooperation with agreement with the Association World Generals for Peace, because without peace, we cannot progress. And therefore, our goal is to reach this high level of our personal development and planet-wide development. And there are 2 ways of financing available to business and the government. Request for money from someone and become a borrower, or the public funding or shared funding. But then we need to go from Homo sapiens to Homo spiritus. So to be a spiritual creature, to understand that we are a union and we take the same direction. And here I would like you to see once again what CryptoUnit program is. Could you please play video, 1-minute video, which describes and features what CryptoUnit program is about? Nikolai, can you please play the video? Become a co-owner, a shareholder. In the segments of the investment market, CryptoUnit is a chance for people to change the realities of their life, do what they want, be important and significant to the society, and make value to others. Decide and address the challenge of inequality, eradicate poverty and destruction, create opportunities for others. This is what we 90% of the people on this globe were expecting for. Please be in a hurry to catch up with your chance, with these opportunities. Address the person who invited you to this webinar. Thank you, Nikolai, for the video. And in order to take the first development pattern, the first steps to private investing, I propose as the application of your practical skills on the board for 8 or 10 people through a game. You can practice your knowledge, your skills. I encourage all of you to play at least 8, 10 games. And if you are the moderator, you can act as a player. Or if you are a player, you can test the shoes of a moderator of the game for you to understand the process. And actually, in practice, you can explore everything. And it will take you 4-5 hours, but this time will reveal some incredible things to you. Having wide experience in investing as a business coach, as a business trainer, I realized one important thing. When I work with the people, they paid for some individual 12 sessions and 3 sessions were given as a gift. And actually the highest price which was paid is $25,000. And even when you work with such a person individually, I've never received the result which I receive here by playing a game. Why? Because sometimes when we work with one person, today something happens, and sometime after they start failing to do their home task. But when people are sitting here, they will do the homework here, because if he thinks a lot, then the turn is given to someone else and they are actively involved in the process. But the highest value is when the players face each other and you see the mistakes made by others, and you cannot advise them, because if you give your advice, you may be penalized, and you see the mistakes made by one person, by the second person. Immediately following these examples, you see how you can avoid these mistakes in your life. This is the greatest value. And the second thing, if you are a manager and would like to test your workers, or if you want to realize why your business is not developing the way you would like it to develop, then you start playing with your partner this game. And immediately, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, you will immediately find out where the problem is, why the work is slowed down, why the business growth is slowed down, and why someone takes or does something it shouldn't have done it. Therefore, I do encourage all of you to play this game, Genius of Finance. And when in February we have this franchise, please, because only one franchise will be sold for one city, and the franchisee available in the town or city will form in his or her city the many franchises. He will act as a specialist for training others. And actually our intention is every family, every household, 25-35% of the households globally would once a month come together and play the game Genius of Finance. And the second goal is to hold some tournaments, some regional tournaments, or some country tournaments, and then the international tournaments. And in October, there will be in Moscow, there will be the international tournament Genius of Finance with the prizes, but it will be accessible only to those people who have experience of playing the game. They should provide this track record. They will need to pay for EIP and come to this international tournament in Moscow when we celebrate on the 18th, 19th and 20th our 6th anniversary of our company. So we plan altogether to have about 250 tables of players playing this game Genius of Finance at the international tournament. Promotions in January. First of all, for the registration in the closed club of CryptoUnit, you can present to your partners 200 units as a gift. The company gives you this chance for the registration. When a person later on receives the letters and visit our webinars, dear friends, when they want to buy something. And in addition, some prizes for active work, 2,000, 8,000, 20,000, and more units, crew points, until the 15th of January 2020. So another 4 days left, you can be in a hurry. And the educational 9-month massive marketing marathon, secrets of the multi-level crowd investing business, next month, it will be available for your buying. So if you want to train your people, so this is a paid education course, and it will be one of the products. We voted for this by the Leadership Council. You need to engage in this 9-month marathon if today you are a leader or a top leader, and every month you will be trained not only by our trainers, they are also involved in the business. I am a professional businessman in multi-level crowd investing, and I want to develop this structure, which today will work, and there will be very strong and powerful educational program. Last year, there were a lot of entertainment programs, but this year there will be the educational events and event 2020 to take place in Moscow from the 20th to 21st of October. And on the 22nd of October, there will be a world forum, Generals of the World, World Generals for Peace. And this 9-month massive marketing marathon, secrets of the multi-level crowd investing business, please get engaged, because our intention is to train all those people who would like to become top leaders of our company. So we voted those people who would like to engage in this marathon. They will have to pay 1,000 units, and they will get a ticket to event 2020. But the payment must be effected by the 31st of January 2020 with a bonus of 10,000 crypto units. And starting from the second day of each month, monthly payment of 100 units. So, meaning that by the 2nd of February, there should be the second payment made. The third payment by the 2nd of March, and the total price is 1,800 units. Total bonus is 18,000 crew plus ticket to the event 2020. So next week, this opportunity will be available. And for the first persons to purchase this unique product, there will be surprises, very unique and incredible surprises prepared for you. So therefore, dear friends, the first 100 people who made their payment, they will learn what surprises we have for them. But the first 100 first purchases, there are a lot of surprises for them, very large surprises for them. And one of the courses for Match, we planned a course of the investment consultant. I will read out the topics that will be studied at this course, the Academy of Private Investor for 2020. The Academy of Private Investors. I will share the link with you. You will read it. So now it is available only in Russian and being translated into all our working languages. The courses planned to be delivered. There is the investment consultant. I will share the link. You can enter and read it. It will start in March, quite probably after the 15th of March, and this course will cost about 3,500 units. It will take place. It will study 8 topics altogether, but some of the topics will be studied within 2 sessions, and altogether there will be 12 sessions. You can study all the topics included into this course. The first one over the last 4 years, by the way. I'm posting the link here. You can study this, but now it's available only in Russian, starting from the mid-March to mid-May. Afterwards, there will be a compulsory offline exam. Offline, we will meet. There will be 1 full day of training in Moscow City, and followed up by an exam and the award of the first certificates from the Academy of Private Investor, a certificate of the investment consultant. If you are certified investment consultant, these are those people who coped with all their home assignments and passed the so-called exam, not like at university selecting a ticket and answering some questions, but there will be some assignments for the creation of your investment portfolios, how you need to do this. And 2 months online course, and then late May, early June, a meeting in Moscow to practice the knowledge and award you with your certificates, with your degrees or diplomas. Next week, it will be available in the Academy of a Private Investor, and for the first people to join this course, we will offer a discount. So next time I will announce this course and when we will make it available for buying. So the courses of the Academy of a Private Investor are the following: 26 open webinars on Saturday, 2-3 times per month, from the 11th of January 2020 to the 10th of October. Then paid courses of a private investor, both online and offline. And the additional course on blockchain technologies, and an additional course on the stock market, managing your assets on the stock market. So therefore, dear friends, I would like to encourage all of you who would like to learn more about investing and become the investment consultant. And one of the topics, if you read through the list, there is the 6th topic: business independent investment consultant and the prospects of the business consultation development in CIS countries and the services provided by the investment consultant. So when you work with the people, when you consult your clients, both our clients, because the investment consultants that will pass the exam in those countries where we need it and in the regions, these consultants will be recruited by us and will receive the salary from our group of companies N.E.E.W, and will be paid a salary. But the consultants as well could run their own individual business over business consulting, and this business actually can generate a gain from 5 to 50 thousand of US dollars a day purely on these consultations. And another program So this is a program, a curricula for the course of the investment consultant. The peculiarities of making the financial portfolio, investments in precious stones, financial plans, financial balance reports on how to receive a safe profit, diversification and hedging risks. And here, 7 of them altogether, but another topic to be included is on blockchain, because today we need to deep our knowledge as we need the investment consultants, you know that we take the journey of creating a holding which will include brokerage companies, and we need to set up the training for the investment consultant by the Academy of Private Investor. So management of the assets on the stock market and how to operate on the soft market. It includes the blockchain technologies and the real estate sector and market. And therefore, these extracurricular courses will be included into the curricula of the professional online course for the investment consultant. And the second session next time, 1 week after, on the 18th of January, we will discuss the levels of investors, what you need to develop a business plan of the life of your dream, personal investment programs, and how to reach this capitalization gain for 8-12 months after. So hedging of the risks, classification of the investment instruments, and a new economic evolution program part 3, and different promotions, gifts and prizes from the Academy of Private Investor, which actually you can see, you can buy this opportunity of these promotions immediately next time, 1 week after, on the 18th of January. And starting from the next session, we will do the following. The structure, the agenda will be the following. Today, I will not answer your questions, but next session will be started from the QA session. You need to prepare a list of those questions related to those topics we studied today. And my presentation will last for about 90 minutes. And the third part, I will ask you a question to test your knowledge of what you learned from the material we studied. And altogether, our session will last 3 hours and a half. And therefore, dear friends, today I will not answer your questions. Please prepare a list of your questions for next week. The only thing I would like to wish and tell you, dear friends, this year is very interesting, is very unique. Yesterday, first of all, the corridor of planning your life is over, and actually this corridor is semi-open until the 20th of January, and you can strengthen your thoughts, your ideas, your images, and through the energy of your thinking, you 700 times can increase, intensify these dreams or these images you may have. And should you have a magic stick, you can simply wave with this magic stick saying that you would like tomorrow to have a castle. We are not living in a fairy tale, but using some technologies of creation, your visualization of your images in your brains, you can actually create those images you would like to achieve. But the instruments we equip you with enable you to do it very fast. The reason I'm saying this, so within the next 3, 4, 5 years maximum, you can become a really wealthy person. A really rich person is the one who creates his values and wealth. This is a truly rich person, not the one who by exchanging some resources or buying and selling or stealing something and he becomes rich, or cheating someone, but a person who creates his wealth, first of all, internally, and then he gets the financial wealth outside. And secondly, you need to learn to become a money magnet. And no matter what you touch, immediately turns into gold. And the third important thing is practice and your movement. So this is your practical application of your skills, which enable you to turn your knowledge into the practical reality. Dear friends,
Believe in your own success, because if not you, or apart from you, no one can do better than you. And secondly, you need to understand that the key player in the key actor in the film called Your Life is you. The main producer of the movie Your Life is you. The main director the principal director of the film called Your Life Is You, and the main viewer, the main spectator of the movie called Your Life is you. So take control of your lives and write the script, produce, direct, and watch the movie the way you want it to have, not the way someone else wants it to be. So thank you for your attention. We'll see you all on the 18th of January, 18th of January, because on the 15th, we are going to move to make our first steps to blockchain. From the 15th to the 20th of January, we're going to migrate our data, the 80 billion tokens, to blockchain. We're going to have a depository. There will be no individual accounts, but we are going into a public information field of blockchain where token points will be converted into tokens. And you will be not the owners of the token points, but tokens themselves. And on the 18th of January, I'm going to tell you what's in store for our people in the next month or two. And we have a reporting meeting planned for the 1st of March. Maybe we'll have it on the 2nd of March. It's the end of months meeting. Yeah, it's on the 1st of March on Saturday. So on the reporting meeting, we're gonna have a meeting with the together with the Presidential Council, and we're going to give you some news that will excite you and stimulate you. And people who will learn about those news on the 2nd of March will regret not taking actions when they could take those actions. So my advice to you is to take action. So I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.